United States Constitution. And we talked about this freedom of speech and expression at length. So before starting, the today's topic for this right to privacy under the United States Constitution, we would be discussing, a very brief oversight what we have started in the previous lecture. So how I should start it? So initially we talked about two kind of laws. One that are content-based laws and that are content-neutral laws. So content-based laws were further classified into two categories. One was this viewpoint restriction and another one was this subject matter restriction. So I talked about that whenever there is subject, this content-based laws, they always face a strict scrutiny. But in the case of content-neutral these content-neutral laws, the court always adopts the immediate scrutiny. So that was the first topic we discussed therein. And with the help of illustration, we tried to differentiate between the two categories. Furthermore, we tried to understand that why the court have been using this strict scrutiny in the case of content-based laws, and while in the case of content-neutral laws, why the court generally uses immediate scrutiny. Further, what we learned ahead was absence of prior restraint is a must to enjoy freedom of speech and expression. We talked that how gag orders are never allowed by the United States Supreme Court, and any prior restraint is always considered as unconstitutional. So this is what we have started. Further, we went ahead with this concept of vague laws that actually violate the due process clause provided in the 14th Amendment or the 5th Amendment. Further, we talked about that how overbroad laws violate your freedom of speech and expression. So, जब भी कोई law है that curtails or restrict your freedom of speech and expression, it must be amply clear, it must be principled, it must be based on some principles. It must tell categorically at what is allowed and what is not allowed. So this is what we started. Furthermore, we talked about that how anonymous speech, is protected under the First Amendment, right? And we took an instance, a case from Ohio elections, wherein anonymous speech was allowed, was protected by the court, and prosecution was dropped. Like the court has held that anonymous speech, a speech whose originator could not be found, could not be traced, it may be allowed in certain exceptional cases. Now, further, we talked about a very leading judgment, a very leading case. केस का नाम है टेक्सास वर्सेस जॉनसन, और टेक्सास वर्सेस जॉनसन में हमने पढ़ा कि कैसे अमेरिकन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में फर्स्ट अमेंडमेंट को कोर्ट ने इतना ब्रॉड इंटरप्रेट किया है. उसने कहा है कि इवन इफ यू बर्न द अमेरिकन फ्लैग, द सेम इज प्रोटेक्टेड अंडर फर्स्ट अमेंडमेंट. बिकॉज कोर्ट ने कहा बर्निंग फ्लैग is a means, is a way to express your strong political dissent and to express your political message. So it is protected under the First Amendment. But when we were drawing a comparative, a chart with Indian counterpart, we learned that how there are multiple laws that prevents any such act, and they are punishable. Burning Indian flag could be a punishable offense. Next, what we talked about so these were the areas wherein we found that these are the protected speech, right? They have been protected under the First Amendment, but there are also certain kind of speech that are less protected or unprotected speech. So the first kind we talked about was any speech that incites lawlessness, any speech that could threaten the integrity and security of the state. So any such law that restrict such kind of speech is completely constitutionally valid, right? And such speech would not be covered under the First Amendment. And the Supreme Court has said therein, it said that it added one safeguard therein. It said that whenever you are using such laws, the government must prove that there is a clear and active, imminent presence of danger and harm. So it could not be used in all cases. It must be used sparingly, only in exceptional cases. But to deal with the limited object, that is to safeguard the security and integrity of the state. उसके बाद फिर हम लोग पढ़ते हैं कि कैसे obscenity और nudity is again unprotected under this First Amendment. और unprotected कैसे है, इसमें हमने बहुत ही फेमस टेस्ट पढ़ा, that is what known as Miller's test. और मिलर टेस्ट में 3-fold टेस्ट है, और मिलर टेस्ट का सबसे पहला the first important point it talks about that the subject matter जिसे हम obscene बता रहे हैं, it must appeal to your Puritan interest, it must be lascivious in nature, and at least in terms of the community, in the standard must be the community standard. Furthermore, second point what we talked about therein, that there must be a law that specifically prohibits this obscene material. Furthermore, going ahead, the third point was that if you take this material as a whole, it must lack serious artistic, political or social values. So this was a 3-fold test of obscenity or nudity under this United States Constitution, this Miller's case. So that's a very famous case, and I also talked about that how this Miller's jurisprudence has in fact impacted the Indian part. And we talked about Section 67 of IT Act. We talked about Section 67 capital A of IT Act. Then we were talking about the child pornography, that how child pornography is an example of unprotected speech. और इसमें मैंने आपको बताया Section 13, Section 14 और Section 15 POCSO Act 2012. और similarly मैंने आपके साथ एक चीज और डिस्कस की कि mere possession, mere storage, independent of the fact that transmission of such child pornography is a punishable offense, but storing or mere storing of child pornography in your device, in your digital device, in your electronic device, could be a punishable offense. Now this word child pornography has been defined by the Indian law by way of an amendment in the year 2019. So that's why I've asked you to refer this POCSO Act of 2012. I think the section is 2D capital DA, right? 2DA. So if you go into the definition clause, the government provided a definition. The legislature had provided a clear-cut definition that what exactly is child pornography. Furthermore, I talked about that any indecent or profane language is obviously unprotected or less protected under the First Amendment. Moreover, I talked about that any commercial advertisement that is that contains some elements of fraud, or that that does not contain any kind of truth, or it misleads public, would obviously not be protected under the First Amendment. So this was the quick recap what we have started in the previous lecture. So anyone having any query, the same could be put forward before us. Right now, we will be today, during this next 1 hour 40-50 minutes, we will be discussing this very important part, that is this privacy part and this United States Constitution. Trust me, it's really important. So I request you to take more notes today, particularly while I'm talking about this privacy rights. So we will be going like bit fast, right? So I request you to keep up with me. And in case you feel any problem, you may instantly clarify it from me. Like you could simply unmute yourself or put it in the chat box that this is your query or this is your problem. So now we are starting this privacy right under the United States Constitution. So the first thing what I want to talk about, that this word privacy, this does not find place anywhere in the United States Constitution. So explicitly, it is nowhere provided that you have a right to privacy. But if you look at this Bill of Rights, the entire structure of Bill of Rights appears as if it is trying to provide you to give this right to privacy. And it have been judicially recognized, it have been judicially interpreted by means of this judicial activism that there are ample of rights. So right to privacy is not a single right, it's an umbrella of rights. So it could not be said that right to privacy is a single typical kind of right. No, right to privacy is a concept, is more like a is more like a plethora of rights that have been originating and still originating, and have been found by the courts by way of this judicial interpretation. So how I do define this privacy? So I need to look at certain provisions. For example, if I talk about the Second Amendment, I talk about the Third Amendment, Fourth Amendment. So it is saying nowhere privacy is found in these amendments. But if you read these amendments carefully, if you read these fundamental rights, if you read these amendments carefully, you will find that there are obviously some components of privacy. For example, if I talk about the Fourth Amendment. So Fourth Amendment talks about search and seizure. So obviously, if this Fourth Amendment is giving you certain safeguard against, the manner in which search or seizure is being conducted, this is obviously safeguarding your privacy. Similarly, if I talk about the Third Amendment is against quartering of some soldier in your private property. So your private property, the state, the government cannot quarter any troop or soldier in your house. That again indicates that yes, there is a privacy element embedded in it. Similarly, if I talk about this right to own guns, that Second Amendment right, so again, more or less, it appears that it again has some privacy embedded, deeply embedded in these kind of rights. So nowhere explicitly in the Constitution the word privacy has been used, but court have been saying that you have this right to privacy from all these kind of amendments and from this due process and equal protection clause or this liberty clause in the appearing in this Fifth Amendment and the 14th Amendment. So I request you to write down these amendments like Second Amendment, Third Amendment, Fourth Amendment. So they have some little privacy elements. So write it down. Furthermore, write this Fifth and 14th Amendment. Their privacy comes under this word liberty and due process clause. Fifth and 14th Amendment, the privacy comes under this liberty clause and due process clause. Yes, Devishi, do you have some question? Devishi, you raised your hand. Please, all right, I think that will be a mistake. So now what is, okay, no issues, thank you. Now what exactly is privacy or, so it simply means autonomy. Please write it down that it means an autonomy. And it must nowhere be compared as secrecy, right? So there's a difference between privacy and autonomy. Secrecy. Privacy indicates an element of autonomy within, right? And it says it protects your individual autonomy from unnecessary governmental interference, right? And it should not be equivalent to some secrecy. Therefore, as I have mentioned earlier, that privacy is an umbrella of rights. So please note down this fact that privacy is an umbrella of rights and must not be equated with secrecy. And must not be equated with secrecy. And it protects the individual autonomy. It protects the individual autonomy from unnecessary governmental interference and protects individual autonomy from unnecessary governmental interferences. So this has been the first part. Like this has been, you could say that this is a simple definition of privacy, right? So now going further, I would be in next 2 to 3 slides. Please do not write them all of them like at the first instance, but have a look at what exactly is covered in privacy or what are those rights that have been covered under privacy. So we'll be discussing these rights in detail, in the upcoming time. So first it talks about right to marriage. That right to marriage is a fundamental right, have been guaranteed under this liberty clause, right? Okay, Dyuti have asked me this question, that why privacy cannot be equated with secrecy. All right. That what exactly this mean? Like, if I could give a bit elaboration upon it. So, for example, see, if you, in fact, I would request you, Dyuti, to refer this 2018 judgment of the Indian Supreme Court, wherein it talked about kinds of privacy, right? So, privacy does not mean that if government is requiring some data from me, some information from me, and so the privacy is not that right that is curtailing, the government from interfering, or accessing my data. But what you are saying, that if the government must, so it is not about that if any individual is not providing the data to the government, right? It's more about the safeguards under what data could be asked with the government. If the data have been given, if some data have been shared by citizens to the government, what will be the conditions under which it will be preserved, right? And if you look at this, I think there's a complete bill that has been pending before parliamentary committee in the Indian Parliament, wherein they're talking about your privacy, privacy safeguards, that whenever you are sharing any data with any government or private, corporate individual, or in fact any individual, there are some safeguards that are required to be followed. So privacy does not, yeah, Data Protection Act. Yes, thank you. So this does not, privacy should never be equated with secrecy. It is not secrecy, right? So privacy is more an individualistic concept. It's more about the individual autonomy, and it should never be equated with secrecy. That yes, like, okay, you are, you cannot hide. You're not hiding something with the government. And in fact, we talked about the threefold test that have been, enumerated by the Indian Supreme Court in the Puttaswamy judgment. So, privacy is not secrecy. Like, it does not mean that you won't share anything with the government. You would share, but there must be legality, there must be proportionality, there must be a legitimate state aim, state purpose. Now, coming back to my topic, that what are those rights that have been, because I talked about privacy as umbrella of rights. So privacy is not something. So it contains umbrella of rights. So the first right we would be talking about today is this right to marriage. Furthermore, the next right we would be talking about this right to procreate. The third thing we'll be talking about this right to custody of one's children. So that's an again very important right. Fourth right we would be talking about this right to keep the family together. Furthermore, the next right is right to control upbringing of children. That is again a privacy right. Right to purchase and use contraceptives. So whenever I have a right to marriage, I also have a right to procreate. See, these three rights are all together connected. So whenever I have this right to marriage, I have a right to procreate. And whenever I have a right to procreate, I also have a right not to procreate. And therefore, I have a right to purchase and use contraceptives. So that has been protected by the Constitution. फर्दर उसके अलावा नेक्स्ट इट गोज राइट टू अबॉर्शन. और राइट टू अबॉर्शन में रो वर्सेस वेड का बहुत ही फेमस केस है, जो आज हम थोड़ा सा इसे इंडियन काउंटर पार्ट में डिस्कस करेंगे, इसका एप्लीकेशन को. अगर इफ यू लुक एट दिस मेडिकल टर्मिनेशन ऑफ प्रेगनेंसी एक्ट. नाउ नेक्स्ट इज दिस राइट of a competent adult to refuse medical treatment, right? Any competent adult could refuse medical treatment. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अभी हम लोग कंपल्सरी वैक्सीनेशन की बात कर रहे हैं, और उसी पे द कोर्ट हैज सेड दैट यू कैन नॉट कंपल्सरी वैक्सीनेट एनीवन. So you have this privacy, you have this individual autonomy, right? Furthermore, it goes ahead like no right to physician assisted death. So these 8-9 cluster of rights we will be discussing today under the privacy concept. So आप सबसे पहला लिख लीजिए right to marriage. Right on the first right, this right to marriage. Right to marry. So right to marry को कोर्ट ने क्या माना है? फंडामेंटल राइट. So if you look at the American history, there were many states. बहुत सारे states में interracial marriage was banned, right? So there were interracial marriages were banned by state laws, and these laws were challenged before the United States Supreme Court in a famous case, Loving versus Virginia. So this is a case of year 1967, जहां पे सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ऐसे लॉज को जो इंटररेशियल मैरिज को बैन करते हैं, प्रोहिबिट करते हैं, ऐसे सारे लॉज वर हेल्ड अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बिकॉज दे वायलेट इक्वल प्रोटेक्शन एंड ड्यू प्रोसेस clause that have been occurring in the 14th amendment and the 5th amendment, right? So आप इसे लिखिए, right to marriage is a fundamental right, और because ये fundamental right है तो obviously so the court would be talking, so the court would be using this strict scrutiny. Devishi, I would be taking your question in the very end when I would be discussing this physician assisted death, right? So initially we will be focusing on our topics and definitely I would take your question at a later stage. तो राइट टू मैरिज में फंडामेंटल राइट है तो स्ट्रिक्ट स्क्रूटनी होगी। और यहाँ पे आप एक केस का नाम लिख लीजिए, बहुत ही लीडिंग केस है, आप पूरा कहीं पे भी, इवन इफ यू गो एनीवेयर, दिस इज अ वेरी लीडिंग केस, लविंग वर्सेस वर्जीनिया। दिस इज अ केस ऑफ ईयर 1967 एंड इस केस में द स्टेट लॉज बैनिंग इंटररेशियल मैरिजेस वर हेल्ड अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल। प्लीज नोट इट डाउन दैट स्टेट लॉज बैनिंग इंटररेशियल मैरिज interracial marriage were held unconstitutional. और unconstitutional क्यों कहा? Because they were violating your 14th amendment, right? So whenever I say 14th amendment, so obviously मतलब वहाँ पे equal protection आ जाता है, due process आ जाता है ना? तो braces में डालें जो like 14th amendment right को violate करें. So this was the first thing. अब इसी में जब right to marriage आया, तो why right to marriage should not be allowed to same-sex couples, right? So Supreme Court of United States in year 2015, in a very leading case, Obergefell versus Hodges, have held that denial of institution of marriage to same-sex couples is violation of equal protection clause, and any such law, any state law that bans same-sex marriage would be violation of the Constitution. Right? So this is a very leading case, 2015 judgment, very historic judgment. और जब ये Obergefell versus Hodges को 2015 में डिसाइड किया, और आप इस जजमेंट को जाके अगर पढ़ेंगे, so you would find that this judgment is somewhere uses the concept of this right to marriage as a fundamental right that have been pronounced by the court in Loving versus Virginia. तो Loving versus Virginia को बहुत heavily relied किया गया Obergefell में. So write down this case, Obergefell versus Hodges. This is a case of year 2015, wherein Supreme Court said that state laws that prohibits same-sex marriage, state laws that prohibit same-sex marriage are unconstitutional. So this Obergefell में आपने लिख लिया. Oh, why they are unconstitutional? See, because this institution of marriage is available to individuals, is available to heterosexual individuals. Why it should not? Why it is available to opposite sex couples? Why it should not be available to same sex couples? So this have been held by the Supreme Court in year 2015 that any state law that that prohibits same sex marriage would be a violation of equal protection clause and due process clause, right? So this was the case. Now how right to marriage is found in this Indian counterpart under the Indian Constitution. So Indian Constitution में आप देखेंगे तो दो बहुत leading cases है ना, और आप बहुत recent है, and one of them have been pronounced by then Chief Justice, Honorable Justice Mr. Deepak Mishra, right? So write down this case. The first case is Shakti Vahini versus Union of India, and second case is Shafin Zahan versus Ashokan KM. Write down both of these cases. Right to marriage under the Indian Constitution, and whenever I talk about this Indian Constitution, the court has said that right to choose your partner is a fundamental right that is coming out, that is flowing from Article 21. So the first case here is Shakti Vahini versus Union of India. So Shakti Vahini was actually this was about this honor killing concept, right, in Khaps Panchayat, But Shafin Jahan have been a case wherein the court have very categorically stated that right to marry a person of your choice is so integral to Article 21. It have been very categorically held and judicially pronounced, judicially declared and recognized by the Indian Supreme Court in the case of Shafin Jahan versus Ashokan Kher. So both of these cases, we talked about that how this right to marriage in the United States Constitution. We talked about a very leading case, Loving versus Virginia, and then we talked about this 2015 case, and now we are talking about this right to marriage under the Indian Constitution. और इसी पे अभी in fact our debate is going that the provisions of Special Marriage Act or or personal laws that excludes the institution of marriage to the same-sex couples is a violation of Article 14, that is equality before law and equal protection of law. And you already know that a petition have been listed, is sub judice, is pending before Honorable Delhi High Court, and Delhi High Court is hearing this matter. So after this Navtej Singh Johar judgment, like this Section 377, decriminalization of Section 377, so we'll be talking about this as well at length. So this was the first right that we covered. Now the second right, please note it down, that you have a right to procreate. You have a right to procreate, and this right to procreation is under a United States Constitution. So please note it down that you have a right to procreate. See, because you have a right to marriage, and now in marriage, whether you wish to procreate or not, that's completely within your domain. That's your right, and that have been protected by the Constitution, and that have been recognized by the Supreme Court in this case of Skinner versus Oklahoma. This is a case of year 1942. So write down this case, Skinner versus Oklahoma, 1942. So this is a case wherein the Supreme Court has held that the individuals have right to procreate. और इससे पहले there's a case like, मैं उसको लिखवा नहीं रहा हूँ, बक वर्सेस बेल का एक बहुत ही इनफेमस केस है ना, यूनाइटेड स्टेट के अंदर ही बक वर्सेस बेल, if I'm not wrong, that is the name of the case, and the case have been very infamous. वहां पे जो ये यूजेनिक्स लॉ है, the court have actually held them constitutional, but in year 1942 the court have held such law that sterilize you against your consent are unconstitutional. So यहाँ पे क्या होता है, इंडिविजुअल्स को फोर्सफुली स्टेरिलाइज किया जाता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, एक इंडिविजुअल है जिसका मेंटल स्टेटस सपोजिटली ठीक नहीं है, तो वहां के स्टेट लॉज क्या करते थे, ऐसे इंडिविजुअल्स जिनका जो मेंटली फिट नहीं है उन्हें स्टेरिलाइज कर दिया जाता था, फोर्सफुली स्टेरिलाइज किया जाता था, जिससे दे कुड नॉट procreate, and court have held such practices as unconstitutional. तो आप कहीं आसपास ये लिख लीजिए, write down this case of Buck versus Bell. स्किनर वर्सेस ओक्लाहोमा में तो उसको इस प्रैक्टिस, इस राइट को रिकॉग्नाइज किया गया, बट स्किनर वर्सेस ओक्लाहोमा से पहले भी एक केस है, बक वर्सेस बेल, जो बड़ा ही इनफेमस केस है. So this right to procreate have been recognized in this Skinner versus Oklahoma 1942, and whether you wish to have children or not is a right that have been recognized by the United States Supreme Court, and it said that state eugenics law that allowed for involuntary surgical sterilization for individuals is unconstitutional. So आप इस लाइन को लिख लीजिए, and if you wish to note down this line, that state eugenics laws that allowed for involuntary surgical sterilization of individual is unconstitutional. Is unconstitutional. अब आगे बढ़ते हैं, है ना. So ये right to procreate हो गया. Now write down this case, right to custody of one's children. Write down the next right, जो privacy right है, The right is right to custody of one's children. So यहाँ पे एक write down the name of this case, Stanley versus Illinois. This is a case of year 1972. Write down the title of the case, Stanley versus Illinois. बहुत ज्यादा इस पे मत लिखिए, बस मैं आपको ब्रीफ फैक्ट्स बता देता हूँ, बहुत ध्यान से सुन लीजिए. So now there are two individuals who are not legally married, but they actually they are in live-in relationship, and they have 3 children they have 3 issues arising out of that so-called marriage. Now the mother passes away, mother dies, and in the state laws, the Illinois state laws provides that if mother died, if any unmarried mother had some issues, she had some child and she died, then the state would send them for adoption. अगर कोई unmarried mother है, she passes away, तो जो state है, state government है, वो उन बच्चों को foster care में adoption में भेज देगा. That was the law. Now herein, in this case, the father, because husband and wife, they are not legally married, but the father herein says that he must be given the right to the custody. He must given this right to custody of those 3 children. And his petition was allowed by the United States Supreme Court, saying that this is protected under this due process clause of liberty. And it says, the court says, so please write down this line: unless compelling reasons like parental abuse or neglect is shown, parental abuse or neglect is shown, the individual has a right to custody of his own children. The individual has a right to custody of his own children. So तब तक आप sufficiently ये prove नहीं कर देते कि जो parental abuse, कहीं पे वहाँ पे parental, suppose a parent, he is a drug addict and he could not undertake the care of his children. So unless such compelling reasons are shown, and children could not be taken away from the custody of individual, from the custody of a person. So अगर आपको, okay Samir, I'm repeating, I'm saying unless compelling reasons like parental abuse or neglect is shown, the individual has a right to custody of his own children. So इसका बहुत सिंपल सा मतलब है कि तब तक आप ये नहीं प्रूफ कर देते, sufficiently ये प्रूफ नहीं कर देते कि for example parent is on some drugs, है ना, and they could not take care, they could not maintain the children, they could not take care, against the upbringing of the children. In all such cases, the state under the doctrine of parents patria, it could remove such children from the custody of the parents and send them to foster care, right, for their larger interest. आप पूरा jurisprudence जो पढ़ते हैं, juvenile jurisprudence पढ़ते हैं, वहां पे interest of the minor is of paramount consideration. That's the doctrine कि बच्चे का interest must prevail. तो अगर पेरेंट कोई ड्रग एडिक्ट है तो चाइल्ड का इंटरेस्ट सफर हो सकता है. तो चाइल्ड के इंटरेस्ट को बचाने के लिए स्टेट को ये पावर दी गई है कि वो पेरेंट की कस्टडी से चाइल्ड को रिमूव कर सकता है और उन्हें फोस्टर केयर में भेज सकता है. सो दिस केस लॉ हैव शोन कि अनलेस आप कंपेलिंग रीजंस नहीं है, कंपेलिंग रीजंस का मतलब स्ट्रिक्ट स्क्रूटनी होगी, तो अनलेस द स्टेट हैज शोन कि हाँ वहां पे सफिशिएंट रीजनिंग है तो ही वो कस्टडी से चिल्ड्रन को निकाल सकता है, अदरवाइज नॉट. Otherwise, an individual has a right to custody of his own children. So that is the case. Write down the next right. Right to keep the family together. Right to keep the family together. Right to keep the family together. बहुत सिंपल सा ये एक राइट है. और जब भी मैं फैमिली की बात करता हूं, फैमिली का मतलब एक्सटेंडेड फैमिली वाली बात हो रही है इसमें. तो ये एक ओहायो में एक स्टेट है, ओहायो में एक सिटी है, ओहायो की एक सिटी, ओहायो स्टेट की एक सिटी एक ऑर्डिनेंस बनाती है, एक जोनिंग ऑर्डिनेंस बनाती है। और जोनिंग ऑर्डिनेंस मतलब इट एक्चुअली प्रोवाइड्स कि किसका घर कहाँ पे होगा, राइट? एंड इट रेस्ट्रिक्ट्स सम मेंबर्स ऑफ अ ट्रेडिशनल फैमिली फ्रॉम लिविंग टुगेदर, and they petition before the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court recognizes their right, that the people, the individuals have a right to keep their family together. और यहाँ पे जो जिस फैमिली की मैं बात कर रहा हूँ वो एक्सटेंडेड फैमिली की मैं बात कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है? सो हमेशा आपको याद रखना है फैमिली मतलब फैमिली मस्ट बी यू नो it could be extended family, it could not be strangers. You could not compel, you could not approach the court for saying कि भाई मुझे तो यही बंदा अपना नेबर चाहिए. No, you could only ask for family members, right? So write down the name of this case: Murray versus City of East Cleveland, Ohio. Write down the title. This is a 1977 case wherein the court has held that zoning ordinances cannot restrict members of a traditional family from living together. So these kind of ordinances, they cannot restrict members of a traditional family from living together. So ये जो राइट है ये बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट राइट है, इट सेड, और ये केवल एक्सटेंडेड फैमिली मेंबर्स को या फैमिली मेंबर्स तक एक्सटेंड होगा, not thereafter, not beyond that. So it did not allow known family members to live together. All right. So please make sure कि केवल this right extend to some family or extended family, not thereafter. So this was one of the rights, that right to keep the family together. Hopefully आपने सब कुछ लिख लिया. If I'm going too fast and अगर थोड़ा सा मेरा पेस ज्यादा हो रहा तो please let me know. Now the next important right is, write down the next heading, that right of parents to control the upbringing of their children. Right of parents to control upbringing of their children. Right of parents to control upbringing of their children. अब ये नेब्रास्का स्टेट का केस है और यहाँ पे अगेन दे मेड अ लॉ, दे मेड एन ऑर्डिनेंस सेइंग कि आप अपने स्टूडेंट, आप अपने जो चिल्ड्रन है, जो चाइल्ड है, आप उसे इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज के अलावा कोई दूसरी लैंग्वेज नहीं पढ़ा सकते. सो दिस वाज प्रोवाइडेड अंडर द लॉ एंड इट वेंट टू द सुप्रीम कोर्ट एंड इट वाज हेल्ड, it was struck down as unconstitutional, because the court says that the parent have a right to control the language of instruction for their children. So write down the title of the case: Mayer versus Nebraska. This is a case of year 1923, wherein the court has recognized that parents have a right to control. Parents have a right to control. Please note it down. Parents have a right to control the language of instruction. The language of instruction for their children. The language of instruction for their children. So 1923 के केस ने बहुत एम्पली क्लियर कर दिया. और इसी अपब्रिंगिंग में, whenever I say control the upbringing of the children, because I believe being a parent, I could better regulate, I could better manage that how a child should be, he should be managed, he should be cared, he should be maintained. And state laws must not unnecessarily interfere in my life. That's why it has been recognized as a right under privacy, because it falls within the domain of the parent. ये एक पेरेंट का अधिकार है कि वो अपने बच्चे को कैसे मेंटेन करता है, कैसे उसकी अपब्रिंगिंग करता है. और स्टेट should not make any laws, state should not interfere, government should not interfere in such cases, because that's my private matter, that's a matter that must be protected, that's my autonomy, that must be protected by the courts under privacy. So ये 1923 का लीडिंग केस है. आपने इसे देखा. Similarly, एक ऐसा ही केस आता है, एक father है, like the father of the children passes away. Now the children are living with their mother. Now father committed suicide. Now children are living with their mother. Now the grandparents, they apply before the court for their visitation rights. Visitation rights का क्या मतलब है? बिल्कुल सिंपल कि उन्हें मिलना है ना? And court actually said, when this petition was listed, the court has said it completely falls within the domain of mother, that how she wished to upbring her child. If she does not want that her grandparents should visit them, it's fine, it's completely fine. The grandparents cannot enforce it as a matter of legal right that they have some visitation rights. So अगला केस जो है वो इसी पे based है. So write it down. Troxel versus Gramley. This is a case of year 2000. Troxel versus Granville. This is a case of year 2000. So मैंने कहा हम बात करें पूरी privacy right. पूरी privacy right is actually coming out from this 14th Amendment, है ना? 14th Amendment या 5th Amendment. Either this due process clause. This is the basis of the right to privacy. This due process clause is the basis of this right to privacy. तो आप इसे 14th Amendment को चाहे तो लिखे चाहे ना लिखे, but आप यहाँ पे एक छोटी सी लाइन लिख लीजिए that court favored not widowed mother, I think single mother, that would be an appropriate word. The court favored single mother for limiting grandparent visitation rights. For limiting grandparent visitation rights. For limiting grandparent visitation rights. So अगर mother चाहती है कि grandparents must visit and have access to the children, it's okay. If mother does not want it, the grandparents, they cannot enforce it as a matter of right in any court of law. So this have been again a dictum, and these dictums, both these dictums, this 2000 case and the previous 1923 case, both of them indicates one common element, that the care, custody and control of child, they are the exclusive subject of parents and not anyone else, except the state has compelling reasons, right? So बच्चों पे जो चिल्ड्रन है, जो छोटे बच्चे हैं, उनके इंटरेस्ट को सेफ गार्ड करना या तो पेरेंट्स सेफ गार्ड करें. पेरेंट्स अगर सेफ गार्ड नहीं कर पा रहे उनके इंटरेस्ट को, तो कौन सेफ गार्ड करेगा? द स्टेट वुड सेफ गार्ड. सो दिस वाज द राइट ऑफ पेरेंट्स टू कंट्रोल द अपब्रिंगिंग ऑफ देयर चिल्ड्रन. सो दिस वाज अगेन अ प्राइवेसी राइट. यहां तक जितना हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किया है, यहां तक किसी का कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो ऑब्वियसली इट कुड बी आस्क्ड. Anyone having any question, any query relating to it? Sameer says there was some network issue. Now write down the next right. Right to purchase and use contraceptives. Right to purchase and use contraceptives. Right to purchase and use contraceptives. देखिए, जब मैंने आपसे कहा you have a right to marriage, जब राइट टू मैरिज है आपका, तो यू हैव अ राइट टू प्रोक्रिएट, है ना? इस राइट टू प्रोक्रिएट का इट आल्सो इंक्लूड्स अ राइट नॉट टू प्रोक्रिएट. मैं चाहूं तो आई शुड एंटर, obviously, like I can have issues, and if I do not wish to have issues, that's again completely my choice. That's my autonomy. So right to procreate also includes right not to procreate. And how we would not procreate? Obviously, if we use these contraceptive devices. So if the state bans them, if the state prohibits them, prohibits sale of contraceptives, or prohibit me to purchase the contraceptive, how I would exercise this right to not to procreate? So obviously, to exercise this right not to procreate, I must have access to contraceptives. So any law that abridges, that prohibits, that takes away this right would be unconstitutional, because it would be intruding into my autonomy, it would be intruding into my privacy. and which is completely beyond, beyond the control of the state. Or see, what I am doing in my bedroom is nowhere an affair of the state, is nowhere an affair of the government. So आप इसमें लिख लीजिए that right to choose whether to purchase and use contraceptives have been held as a privacy right in the case of Griswold versus Connecticut, 1964. So write down this title of the case, and at the same time, you also included that you have a right to choose whether to purchase and use contraceptive or not. So इसमें आप second point लिख लीजिए और ये case का नाम लिख लीजिए, और बहुत तरीके से आप इन तीनों बातों को समझिए कि आपके पास राइट टू मैरिज है तो राइट टू प्रोक्रिएट है, राइट टू प्रोक्रिएट है तो यू मस्ट हैव राइट टू परचेज एंड यूज कॉन्ट्रासेप्टिव्स, बिकॉज़ राइट टू प्रोक्रिएट में राइट नॉट टू प्रोक्रिएट भी इंक्लूडेड है. So this was the gist so far. Now moving ahead. All right. So right to purchase, are you talking about this slide or should we like, or are you talking about the previous slide? Jyoti, is this the right slide you were talking about? Previous one. Okay. Jyoti, you can in fact find these slides in the Google folder, that the link that we have already shared with you. So any time or anywhere you feel like you missed something, obviously you could ask it during the live class as well. You could find it later in that Google Drive as well. So I am waiting for a few seconds so that unless they finish. Oh, no issues. Do you like note it down? Take your own time. Okay, done. Thank you. Now we talked about this right to purchase and use contraceptives. तो इसमें हमने थोड़े से फैक्ट्स को बता दिए, है ना, कि थोड़ा सा फैक्ट क्या है कि स्टेट could not interfere into your marital bedroom. Obviously, the state must not enter into it. That's not the state business. Whether I am using a contraceptive or not, that's not the state business, right? And इसी केस को reiterate किया, आप इस केस को मत लिखिए, कोई बहुत सेंस नहीं है, but this is a right that have been well recognized by the Supreme Court, by the United States Supreme Court, that an individual have a right to purchase and use contraceptives. So that's his own privilege. That's his own right. That's his own privacy right. Now moving ahead, right to abortion, again a very important right. तो इसे थोड़ा सा लेंथ पे पढ़ेंगे, तो इसे आप लिख लीजिए right to abortion, right to abortion. और जैसे ही right to abortion आता है, you must write down the very famous and leading case Roe versus Wade. 1973 का एक केस है, Roe versus Wade. और देखिए, जब ये केस सुप्रीम कोर्ट में फाइल हुआ, तो मैं आपको हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड इसका बता दूं कि यूनाइटेड स्टेट में कुछ स्टेट तो ऐसे थे कि जहां पे इवन इफ एन इंडिविजुअल हैव बीन रेप्ड, और जो प्रेगनेंसी है वो दैट हैव बीन कॉज्ड बाय रेप, द स्टेट डिड नॉट अलाउ देम टू अबॉर्ट. सो कुड यू अंडरस्टैंड द मेंटल ट्रॉमा that victim would obviously be facing then in such cases? There were many states which allowed abortion, but there were many states that did not allow abortions, right? Even in such severe cases. So इसी वजह से ये बड़ा historic judgment है Roe versus Wade का, और ये हमेशा it talks about 3 trimesters. So write down first trimester, second trimester and third trimester. तो ये जो gestation period है 9th month का, इसको 3 trimesters में डिवाइड किया गया, फर्स्ट ट्राइमेस्टर, सेकंड ट्राइमेस्टर एंड थर्ड ट्राइमेस्टर. फर्स्ट ट्राइमेस्टर, सेकंड ट्राइमेस्टर एंड थर्ड ट्राइमेस्टर. तो फर्स्ट ट्राइमेस्टर आपको समझ आ गया 1 से 3, सेकंड ट्राइमेस्टर आपको समझ आ गया कि 4 से 6 एंड थर्ड समझ आ गया 7 से 9, है ना. सो ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने इसको ऐसे डिफाइन किया कि फर्स्ट ट्राइमेस्टर, सेकंड ट्राइमेस्टर, थर्ड ट्राइमेस्टर. अब इसमें क्या कोर्ट ने कहा, कब क्या, like how it would be done. So the court said that abortion is a fundamental right. So write it down that abortion is a fundamental right. राइट टू अबॉर्शन इज अ फंडामेंटल राइट, और फंडामेंटल राइट है तो ऑब्वियस सी बात है देयर वुड बी स्ट्रिक्ट स्क्रूटनी अगर आप इस राइट को वायलेट करेंगे, है ना। और इसी में एक बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग टेस्ट पढ़ेंगे आज हम, अनड्यू बर्डन टेस्ट जिसे बोलते हैं, बाद में भी देखेंगे। बट नाउ कमिंग बैक, तो पहले ट्राइमेस्टर जो फर्स्ट ट्राइमेस्टर है, गवर्नमेंट कुड नॉट prohibit, it could regulate, government could not prohibit abortion, it could only regulate medical procedure. प्लीज थोड़ा सा जल्दी लिखिए। Government could not prohibit abortion, it could regulate medical procedure. It could regulate medical procedure. सो ये बड़ा एम्पली आपको क्लियर हो गया होगा कि अगर जो पहला ट्राइमेस्टर है, पहले ट्राइमेस्टर में इट इज कंप्लीटली द राइट ऑफ द वुमेन that whether she wish to conceive, whether she wish to continue with the pregnancy or not. So government cannot impose a blanket ban upon it, right? Abortion क्या माना गया? It have been recognized as fundamental right, और fundamental right है तो गवर्नमेंट इसको केवल किसी compelling reasons के लिए curtail कर सकती है। तो कोर्ट ने कहा फर्स्ट ट्राइमेस्टर में you could not curtail it at any case at any cost, but the only right the state have is to regulate the medical procedure. ये बता सकती है किस हॉस्पिटल में आप जाके अबॉर्ट करा सकते हैं, कहाँ जा सकते हैं, कहाँ नहीं जा सकते हैं, क्या प्रोसीजर होगा। तो थोड़ा सा, और प्रोसीजर भी बहुत एक सब्सटेंशियल डिग्री तक वो बर्डन ना करे आपके इस राइट को। तो प्रोसीजर बिल्कुल मिनिमल इंटरफेरेंस होगा स्टेट का, है ना। और इसकी रीजनिंग क्या दी जाती है, मिनिमल इंटरफेरेंस क्यों होगा? Because we believe that viability in the fetus enters into like while it is in the third trimester. तो थर्ड ट्राइमेस्टर तक बच्चे जो फीटस है, जो एम्ब्रियो में फीटस है, उसके अंदर लाइफ आ जाती है। और जैसे ही उसके अंदर लाइफ, मेडिकली ऐसा माना जाता है, मेडिकल साइंस में, कि उसमें लाइफ जो है 22nd से 23rd वीक में आती है। तो बिकॉज उसमें लाइफ आ गई और जैसी लाइफ आई, स्टेट का इंटरेस्ट हो गया, तो वहां पे स्टेट का बहुत लार्जर डिग्री ऑफ कंट्रोल। बट उससे पहले बिकॉज उसमें लाइफ नहीं है, वायबिलिटी कम है, तो इसी वजह से स्टेट उसको बहुत कम तरीके से रेगुलेट कर सकता है ना। लेकिन as soon as a life comes into the fetus, comes into the embryo, the state got sufficient interest to safeguard. Now state could interfere. तो थर्ड ट्राइमेस्टर में स्टेट अपनी फुल स्ट्रेंथ से इंटरफेयर कर सकता है। फर्स्ट में बिल्कुल मिनिमल करेगा, सेकेंड ट्राइमेस्टर में इंटरमीडिएट स्टेज पे होगा, और थर्ड ट्राइमेस्टर में स्टेट कुड इंटरफेयर टू इट्स मोस्ट लार्जेस्ट एक्सटेंट, राइट। और इसकी रीजनिंग आपको बहुत आसान से समझ में आ रही होगी कि फर्स्ट ट्राइमेस्टर में नो लाइफ, सेकेंड ट्राइमेस्टर में थोड़ा सा मानते हैं कि 22nd से 23rd वीक में लाइफ आ जाती है फीटस में। तो इसी वजह से थर्ड ट्राइमेस्टर में स्टेट बहुत लैटिट्यूड से कंट्रोल कर सकता है, बट नॉट एट एनी अर्लियर पोजीशन। तो फर्स्ट ट्राइमेस्टर आपने लिखा, राइट डाउन द सेकंड ट्राइमेस्टर, बट द सेकंड ट्राइमेस्टर दैट गवर्नमेंट वुड हैव अ लार्जर लैटिट्यूड टू रेगुलेट अबॉर्शन. Government would have a larger latitude to regulate abortion. Government would have a larger latitude to regulate abortion. So write down what about third trimester? So in the third trimester, the government could prohibit abortion. The government could prohibit abortion unless needed to protect women's life or health. Unless needed to protect women's life or health. Unless needed to protect women's life or health. तो आप समझिए, फर्स्ट केस में गवर्नमेंट का बिल्कुल कोई बहुत ज्यादा कंट्रोल नहीं, कोई रेगुलेशन नहीं है, बहुत लिमिटेड तरीके से वो उसे रेगुलेट कर सकती है। जब सेकंड ट्राइमेस्टर शुरू हुआ, रेगुलेशन की डिग्री बढ़ी, लेकिन थर्ड ट्राइमेस्टर आ गया तो गवर्नमेंट गॉट अ कंप्लीट इंटरेस्ट इन द फीटस, इनटू द फीटस, बिकॉज उसके अंदर लाइफ आ गई है, और लाइफ आ गई है तो स्टेट की ड्यूटी है कि वो लाइफ को प्रोटेक्ट करे, और इस वजह से कंप्लीट प्रोहिबिशन हो सकता है अबॉर्शन पे इन द थर्ड ट्राइमेस्टर। केवल एक एक्सेप्शन है कि अगर मदर की लाइफ को सेफ गार्ड करना हो, अगर मदर की हेल्थ को सेफ गार्ड करना हो, इफ द हेल्थ एंड लाइफ ऑफ मदर इज एट रिस्क, only such exceptional case that the abortion could be allowed, but not otherwise. So this is a very famous case. This has in fact been reaffirmed by the Supreme Court in Planned Parenthood versus Casey. So this is a very recent case जहां पे Roe versus Wade को Supreme Court ने reaffirm किया। उसने कहा कि नहीं, ये जो position of law है एकदम सही है, एकदम ठीक है, there is no need to overrule it. So आप चाहें तो इसे लिख सकते हैं that this Roe versus Wade was reaffirmed in Planned Parenthood versus Casey. This was reaffirmed in Planned Parenthood versus Casey. So we talked about the first trimester, second trimester, third trimester. यहाँ पे किसी को कोई query हो तो same could be asked. Please, anyone having any query regarding this first trimester, second trimester, third trimester, जो समझाया है Roe versus Wade में, किसी को कोई problem हो तो same could be asked. Either you write in the chat box or you just simply unmute yourself and ask it. और एक चीज और मैं आपको like I would request you 5 or 10 more minutes today. Like हम थोड़ी सी क्लास को 10 मिनट extend कर लेंगे, तो आई रिक्वेस्ट अगर आपको किसी को कोई प्रॉब्लम ना हो, सो आई मे बी अलाउड टू एक्सटेंड दिस क्लास फॉर 5 to 10 मिनट्स। लाइक हम इसे 6:20 तक इसको ओवर रैप कर देंगे। थैंक यू। आप राइट टू अबॉर्शन में एक आता है, बिकॉज सी इट्स अ फंडामेंटल राइट, तो फंडामेंटल राइट में गवर्नमेंट इसको रेगुलेट कर सकती है, बट रेगुलेट कर सकती है डज नॉट मीन कि वो इस राइट पे कोई अनड्यू बर्डन प्लेस कर दे। सो राइट दिस अनड्यू बर्डन on right to abortion. Undue burden on right to abortion. Undue burden on right to abortion. जो right to abortion है, this is a right that has been given to women. For example, there is an ordinance, there is a state law that says that before undertaking the abortion, there must be a 24-hour waiting period in which the spousal consent or spousal notification is must. For example, it says like a woman could undertake, abortion, but she need to take consent or she need to notify her husband. Then all such cases would be unconstitutional. So please note it down. Spousal consent or notification laws have been held unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. Spousal consent or notification laws have been held unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. लेकिन इफ आई होप आपने लिख लिया होगा, लेकिन यही आर्ग्यूमेंट अगर एक माइनर प्रेजेंट करने लगे, माइनर इन द सेंस, सी इन अमेरिका द एज ऑफ कंसेंट इज 16, राइट, एंड इट वेरीज फ्रॉम स्टेट टू स्टेट। सो अगर कहीं पे कोई बच्ची माइनर है ना, एंड शी गॉट प्रेग्नेंट, राइट, एंड नाउ शी विश टू अबॉर्ट द चाइल्ड, एंड देयर आर ऑर्डिनेंसेस, फॉर एग्जांपल स्कूल सेज like parental consent would be must, parental notification is must, then such laws could be constitutional, है ना, समझ आता है, because she is a minor, और minor के interest को, because we believe that she could not safeguard her interest well by herself, therefore she could abort, but with the consent, with the parental consent only. So अगर कोई ऐसा लॉ है जो माइनर के लिए पेरेंटल टर्म्स को कंपलसरी बनाता है, पेरेंटल नोटिफिकेशन को कंपलसरी बनाता है, तो ऐसा लॉ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल है और वो राइट टू अबॉर्शन पे कोई अनड्यू बर्डन नहीं है। प्लीज मेक श्योर दैट। पहले केस में देखिए, जब आप ऊपर वाले केस में देखते हैं तो वहां पे क्या है, वहां पे there is husband and wife and it is talking about the spousal consent or spousal notification. तो उसे कोर्ट ने क्या कहा कि ये अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल है बिकॉज इट अनड्यूली बर्डन्स योर राइट। बट अगर किसी माइनर के केस में पेरेंटल नोटिफिकेशन या कंसेंट है, then it has been held as constitutional, right? तो पेरेंटल नोटिफिकेशन या कंसेंट को कोर्ट ने क्या माना है माइनर के केस में दैट दे आर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल एंड दे डू नॉट पोज एनी अनड्यू बर्डन. तो राइट डाउन दिस थर्ड पॉइंट दैट पेरेंटल नोटिफिकेशन और कंसेंट, parental notification or consent for unmarried minor abortion, for unmarried minor abortion is not an undue burden, is not an undue burden on right to abortion, on right to abortion. ठीक है, यहां तक सबको आप लोगों को क्लियर होगा ऐसा मैं आई बिलीव. अब इसी को आगे थोड़ा सा आगे बढ़ते हैं, ठीक है, इंडियन पर्सपेक्टिव में देखते हैं. और जैसे इंडियन पर्सपेक्टिव में देखते हैं तो इंडियन पर्सपेक्टिव में क्या आ जाता है, मेडिकल टर्मिनेशन ऑफ प्रेगनेंसी एक्ट 1971, जिसको शॉर्ट में एमटीपी एक्ट 1971 बोलते हैं. तो आप इसे अपनी शॉर्ट हैंड में लिख लीजिए अपनी नोटबुक में, एमटीपी एक्ट 1971, एमटीपी एक्ट 1971. बहुत सिंपल है इसका, आप सेक्शन 3 सेक्शन 4 पढ़िए एमटीपी एक्ट का, लिख लीजिए सेक्शन 3 सेक्शन 4. मैं आपको बस बेसिक बता रहा हूं. बेसिक क्या है कि 12 वीक्स तक एक प्रैक्टिशनर का मेडिकल ओपिनियन अगर फॉर्म होता है, और 12 वीक से 20 वीक तक. और ध्यान से देखिए, जैसे मैं 12 वीक बोलता हूं, व्हाट डज इट मीन? इट मींस द फर्स्ट ट्राइमेस्टर, फर्स्ट 3 मंथ्स, 4 into 3 दैट मींस 12. सिमिलरली मैंने कहा वायबिलिटी 20 से 23rd वीक तक आ जाती है. वेरी सिमिलर कॉन्सेप्ट कि 12 से 20 वीक तक अगर आपको कोई अबॉर्ट करना है तो 2 प्रैक्टिशनर चाहिए. तो क्या है ये? दिस व्हाट शोज कि रो वर्सेस वेड का कितना लार्जर इंपैक्ट है ना. तो कैसे हमारा लॉ भी इनफैक्ट इज बेस्ड अपॉन हैव बीन इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय दिस डिक्टम ऑफ रो वर्सेस वेड. सो अगर मदर की लाइफ को रिस्क है या फिर बच्चे की हेल्थ को रिस्क है, सो इट कुड बी अबॉर्टेड एंड देयर आर कंडीशंस प्रोवाइडेड देयर इन अंडर सेक्शन 3. तो 12 वीक तक आप जो प्रेगनेंसी है उसे टर्मिनेट कर सकते हैं अगर एक मेडिकल प्रैक्टिशनर चाहे, और 12 वीक से 12 वीक से 20 वीक्स तक 2 प्रैक्टिशनर अगर चाहे, है ना. और जैसे रो वर्सेस वेड के 3rd ट्राइमेस्टर में भी अगर मदर की लाइफ को सेफगार्ड करना है तो ऑब्वियसली like 3rd trimester में abortion could be prohibited, but in order to save the life of mother it could be allowed. Very same have been the case with this MTP Act. आप MTP Act पढ़िए, इसमें MTP Act में लिखा है कि अगर कहीं पे किसी भी कोई ऐसी कंडीशन आती है, किसी मेडिकल प्रैक्टिशनर को ऐसा लगता है कि मदर की लाइफ को सेव करने के लिए, इट इज मस्ट obviously the doctor could go ahead. Because see, अगर हमें बच्चे और मदर की लाइफ में से 2 लाइफ में से एक लाइफ को सेफगार्ड करना है तो we would obviously safeguard the life of mother. That's more precious, है ना. लार्जर हार्म और स्मॉलर हार्म में आप कौन सा हार्म करेंगे? स्मॉलर हार्म. We would try to save the larger interest. So I hope कि जो मैं MTP एक्ट को, ये जो मैंने प्रोविजंस आपको बताए सेक्शन 3 सेक्शन 4, मैंने आपको बताया कैसे ये रो वर्सेस वेड से इन्फ्लुएंस्ड है. आप देखिए फर्स्ट एक प्रैक्टिशनर जब इसको अबॉर्ट कर सकता है 12 वीक्स तक, फर्स्ट ट्राइमेस्टर हो गया. ये 12 वीक्स से 20 वीक्स ये सेकंड ट्राइमेस्टर हो गया. और कभी टर्मिनेट कर सकते हैं आप अगर आप वो जरूरी है वुमेन की लाइफ को सेव करने के लिए. तो इवन 3rd ट्राइमेस्टर में भी आप 20 वीक से लेके आकर भी गुड undertake this abortion on any women if it is necessary to save her life. So life mother is more important when it comes, there are 2 options, like either we could save the life of mother or we could save the life of the child. So we would save the life of the mother, right? So this have been the position of law in India. Now agla right aap likh lijiye, right to engage in private consensual homosexual conduct. Right to engage in private consensual homosexual conduct. केस का नाम लिखिए लॉरेंस वर्सेस टेक्सास. लॉरेंस वर्सेस टेक्सास 2003 का केस है. है ना, और अंडरलाइन करिए यहाँ पे 3 वर्ड्स. The first word is this private, second word is this consensual, and third is homosexual conduct. So make sure that it's in private, it's consensual, it's homosexual. That means it could be penile anal or penile oral or whatever it is. So Lawrence versus Texas, this is a case of year 2003, जहां पे यूनाइटेड स्टेट सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ऐसे लॉज जो प्राइवेट कंसेंशुअल होमोसेक्सुअल एक्ट को कंडक्ट को क्रिमिनलाइज करते हैं, वो सारे लॉज ड्यू प्रोसेस क्लॉज को क्या करते हैं, वायलेट करते हैं, एंड दे हैव बीन हेल्ड एज अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल. So write down the name of the case, Lawrence versus Texas 2003. Law criminalizing consensual adult homosexual intercourse violates due process clause. Violates due process clause. और इसी के नीचे आप लिख लीजिए इंडियन पर्सपेक्टिव में नवतेज सिंह जौहर वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया. 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 यही हुआ नवतेज सिंह जौहर वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया. सी आप देखेंगे सेक्शन 377 को, तो वो 377 अभी भी स्टैट्यूट बुक में है, उसका एप्लीकेशन इज स्टिल देयर, बट द सुप्रीम कोर्ट हैज carved down an exception over it. It said that so far there is a homosexual intercourse or homosexual conduct that occurs in private and it is consensual between two male adults, it would be no more an offense. All right. So बाकी सेक्शन को तो रिटेन है, अभी भी वो स्टैट्यूट बुक में आपको दिखता है, लेकिन जो ये वाला पार्ट है, कंसेंशुअल होमोसेक्सुअल कंडक्ट बिटवीन two adult consenting males, is no more a crime in India as well, because of the dictum of the Indian Supreme Court in Navtej Singh Johar versus Union of India. तो कोर्ट ने बाकी राइट्स पे नहीं किया ना, it did not confer this right to marriage or other rights, but it only said that so far there is a consensual adult homosexual intercourse between two males like MSM. So in all such cases the law would not punish them, and it have been said that it violates Article 14, Article 15, and Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. Navtej Singh Johar versus Union of India. Right? उसके अलावा कोई राइट नहीं दिया कोर्ट ने. So ये हुआ नवतेज सिंह जोहर. Now write down this last thing that what we're going to discuss today. This right of competent adults to refuse medical treatment. Right of competent adult to refuse medical treatment. हार्डली 2 से 3 मिनट में खत्म कर देंगे इसको. अब Dyuti asked me this question: why would someone, refuse this medical treatment? See, if somebody is there who is, in consistent vegetative state, right? Then in all such cases, there is no meaning of life. In fact, Honorable then Chief Justice Deepak Mishra said that your right to life includes right to death, but with dignity. Right to die with dignity. So this have been in fact held in Common Cause versus Union of India. आप लिख लीजिए इसको, Common Cause versus Union of India. Common Cause versus UI लिख लीजिए. Right to life includes right to die with dignity. Right to life includes right to die with dignity. Right to die with dignity. और बिल्कुल सिमिलर पोजीशन है यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स में भी. आप ये 1990 का केस लिख लीजिए, दिस क्रूजन वर्सेस डायरेक्टर ऑफ मिसूरी डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ हेल्थ. बिल्कुल सेम कोट ने यही कहा कि अगर कोई कॉम्पिटेंट एडल्ट है, उसे लगता है कि उसे मेडिकल ट्रीटमेंट नहीं देना चाहिए और उसे लगता है उसे लाइफ सेविंग ट्रीटमेंट भी नहीं मिलना चाहिए, he could say no. And duty, we could only allow, an adult could only refuse such medical treatment where he feels like, he's living life, more a life with the pain, right? For example, there is a cancer patient and he's in his stage 4 cancer, and his life is actually more painful than death. So only in those exceptional cases, you have a right to refuse this medical treatment, not otherwise. और यही हमने पहले, मेरे को याद है फर्स्ट क्लास में हमने डिस्कस किया था, that you do not have a right to death, right to physician assisted death. Because अगर स्टेट का इंटरेस्ट है, गवर्नमेंट का इंटरेस्ट है, स्टेट का इंटरेस्ट है इंडिविजुअल मैक्सिमम लाइफ चाहिए, स्टेट का हर लाइफ में स्टेक है, हर लाइफ में उसका इंटरेस्ट है। मैंने आपको बताया भी था कि कैसे मद्रास हाई कोर्ट में एक इंडिविजुअल ने अपना पिटीशन लगाया, कहा कि आई एम 60+, आई गॉट रिटायर्ड, आई एम सो हैप्पी विद लाइफ, सो फुलफिल्ड विद लाइफ, आई मस्ट बी अलाउड टू डाई। एंड कोर्ट सेड नो, वी कुड नॉट अलाउ यू टू डाई because state has interest in you. You are a social being, you are living in a society. You cannot say that I am such an isolated individual कि मेरे like किसी का इंटरेस्ट नहीं है मुझ में, नहीं है, स्टेट का सफिशिएंट इंटरेस्ट है, तभी आपको 309 में सुसाइड को पनिशेबल बनाया हमने। दैट अटेम्प्ट टू सुसाइड इज इन फैक्ट अ पनिशेबल ऑफेंस, बिकॉज स्टेट का इंटरेस्ट है आपकी लाइफ में, आपकी लाइफ केवल आपकी है। प्लीज डोंट लिव विद दिस आइडिया। As soon as you enter into the society, as soon as your birth took place, you are no more, the whole and soul karta dharta of your life. No. Okay, you could be a major stakeholder, but there are other stakeholders too. You have your family, you have your state. So, thinking so individualistically is not correct, and therefore it could be very rightly said that no individual have a right to die with the help of any physician. So you do not have right to death, physician assisted death, right? So this was the last right what we need to discuss under this concept. So otherwise किसी का कोई question, कोई clarification, कोई doubt आज की क्लास में, the same could be asked, है ना? तो एक क्लास और रहेगी हमारी, so we would be taking either it on 30 या फिर we'll notify it in advance, 3 दिन पहले बता देंगे. So we are only left with this equal protection clause, otherwise we are done. So anyone having any question, please, the same could be asked. So thank you so much for taking this class. It was really, really great.